Dodge Caravan. Got a dead battery. Get Mr. Gulu on here. It's not fully charged, it's 3/4 charged, but it should be fine. Should be fine. I'm gonna push boost mode because this battery is stone dead. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. 2012, actually November of 12 makes it a 13. 114,780 miles. About twice the life expectancy of your average Dodge Caravan. Life expectancy being how long before you can expect problems. So I'm gonna pull this in here, make sure it's charging, test that battery. Check engine light just popped on, so there's some stuff happening. Traction light's been on. All right, I'm gonna get this a little straighter on the lift too. I got this van charging behind me so I can test the charging system. Seems like it's not charging. Back to the repairs. While the battery charge is charging this thing, I'm gonna take a look for codes, see what we got. 2013 Dodge Grand Caravan. Let's do this. Local diagnosis. I'll do a health report and we'll ping all the modules, try to make sure of what codes we got, clear codes from all the modules. It's almost acting like it's got a bad battery. The charger's having a hard time getting some voltage in the battery, so it may have an open plate in the battery, which kudos to the Top Don scanner for doing its job, and also to the Gulu jump box for starting it with a really bad battery. I'm gonna have to, obviously I still have to check the charging system to make sure too, but the fact that the smart charger is having a really hard time getting voltage in the battery is a bad sign for the battery. All right, we got some codes. Auto stick, battery voltage low, implausible data. Yeah, the oil pressure sensor circuit code is probably not caused by the battery issue, 522, but a lot of the other codes are electrical related. Vacuum pressure sensor voltage out of range. Yeah, I'm just going to clear all these codes out. I'm going to go out and check this battery. I'll probably put a battery in it and then check the charging system just to make sure. The battery has definitely got an issue because it's still not taking a charge. So let's put a battery in it just for test purposes. We'll go from there.
The bottom one, the bulb is broken off inside the catcher.
Alright, we got a fresh don't last in this thing. The 13 holds it down. Face it in towards the battery so the teeth grab. $10mm. This bit driver's great. All my light duty stuff. Again, these are ones that you don't want to over tighten them. You just want it to be able to, well, just see that? It just moved a little bit, so I gotta go a little tighter. Yeah, this terminal needs work. It's not tightening up. All right. Once I jammed it a little further down on the post, since the post is tapered, the further down you go, the bigger it gets. I jammed it down a little further, now it's tight. Let's see how let's see if this thing's charging. All right, fire this thing up. It's not charging. Now we got to find out why. I hear some noise. That's not a good sign. I'm going to check the fuses real quick, make sure all the fuses are good, check for power, make sure it's connected to the battery with a voltmeter or a test light. Let's see what we find. Alright, right on the main battery lug of the alternator, 11.89. So the main cable is connected. I have no voltage drop. Put on the positive, and I shouldn't be pulling any voltage through there. Circuit's loaded, I got the lights on, engine running, so I know the main cable's good. Now I got to see if it's trying to charge with my scanner. If it's commanding the alternator to charge and the fuses are good, then it needs an alternator. I got this thing running on the new battery. It's not charging. We verified there's no voltage drop on the main cable. Check engine light came back on. The P0522 oil sensor circuit code came right back, but I'm gonna check to see if the alternator is charging at 100%. Select the way to start the actuator. That's not correct. Active DTC present, temperature too low. Okay, let's go back out. We'll look at data instead. I was going to try to force it to run so I could control it, but it wants the engine to get hotter, and I'm not really looking to get it much hotter. It's already going to be hot enough. It's going to be under A for alternator or C for charge. That's the only thing we got to figure out. All right, I picked some PIDs that relate to the code we're having and to the problem with the charging system. 100% duty cycle. Nothing's happening. All the fuses are good, the main cable's good, so this thing needs an alternator. I'll have to check the connector really closely for broken wires when I replace the alternator. I'm not going to go to get to those connector wires and check them before replacing the alternator. Is pretty unrealistic because it would be as time consuming as replacing the alternator basically. And 19 out of 20 times it's the alternator. Target charge 14 volts. It's at 11 volts and it's trying to charge it 100%. So oil pressure 99 psi. Sensor voltage is maxed out. So it also has a bad oil sender. as long as it has a good ground and all, but it wouldn't read any voltage at all if it had a problem with the power or ground. So most likely the sensor's just stuck wide open. So we'll ask them if they want to check that a little further to verify it, but it probably needs an oil cylinder. This Dodge Town and Country Caravan, Grand Caravan, whatever. I went to move it and the new battery is dead. I came over here, I could smell the alternator cooking. So the alternator shorted and actually discharged the battery. So I may have condemned that other battery unnecessarily. Without it connected, it's taking a charge. With it connected, it can't keep up with the alternator, it's short. So this thing ain't going anywhere without an alternator. You can't even drive it. I'm gonna have to disconnect the alternator just to make it drivable. That's you don't see that too often. Every once in a while, I see it on a lot of Hondas where the alternator shorts and discharges the battery. First time I think I've seen it on a Dodge. I want to get this main cable disconnected from the alternator. I got the plug unplugged. I think you're supposed to do this from the bottom, but that's alright. I want to be able to plug the battery back in to lift it. I got to pull it forward about a foot so I can put this alternator in here. Plus at the same time I'll be able to verify that the alternator is the short, which I could smell and feel heat coming off the alternator. So I'm pretty sure, but not 100%. I'll tell you one thing, the nut is hot and my socket got a little warm. Now I'm 100% sure. I don't think it's going to let me sneak the radiator out of here to get to the alternator without taking the hose off. That makes me sad. Pop that belt off there. Of course, you got to do that from underneath. So I got to lift it up, get the belt off, and the lower alternator bolt. One push pin, two 10mm bolts. Then I should be able to see the belt and the belt tensioner. I think the belt tensioner's in the back on these. One more push clip on the other piece of plastic. Oh yeah, that's the monstrosity right there. Got my little gear wrench with a 1-inch Williams extension on it. Don't need no special belt to it, I don't think. There you go. Take that bottom bolt off, and then the other two I get from the top, and I'm supposed to be, allegedly, I can lift it out the top. Alright, should be able to lift it out of there now. That's the hard part. You gotta push the alternator forward. There's a stud that it's on. You got to push it forward enough to get it off the stud, and then you can pull it out. Getting it off the stud's the hard part, though. I can't even film it for you guys because there's no room in here. Try the upper hose out of the way. That gives you a little more room. Ta-da! It's a boy. You can tell. So you could probably see the stud that this alternator has to go on down there, and the hose, of course, they moved it so it's like right here, comes like right across the front of the alternator. So I'll use the pry bar, and when I get the alternator, I'll lay it in there close. I'll use the pry bar to pull the hose up and then slip this onto the stud down here. These bolts are easy. Once it's on the stud, the stud actually kind of helps you. So once you get these started by hand a little bit, you're home free. Getting it on the stud, like I said, that's where the work's at. I think it's a little easier to get it on that stud from the bottom. I started my bolts already, and I snugged up the bottom one, but didn't tighten it. Once I get these tight, then I can finish tightening this one. It's probably not far away from being tight. Oh, there you go. Alright, pop the belt on there, throw the fan in, boom, like magic. Alright, it comes with a cheap thin nut and lock washer. The original nut is a beautiful serrated one-piece design. That'll give you an idea which way I'm going. Oh, my plastic cover fell off. Where'd it go? Let me find that. Dug that thing out of the little area between the compressor and the block. I want to leave that covered because that's no bueno if someone shorts it out by mistake putting a dipstick in or something. Alright, cooling fan time. Iron harness is so... Got a little slot on the bottom. It's got to go in. And then these latch on the top. Phone's ringing. Fan's pretty easy on this. Why don't you take the upper hose out of the way? I tried to be sneaky and I wasted 5 minutes trying to get it out without taking the cooling system open, but we'll be all right. Now, there's two connectors, obviously. One is the direct fan control wiring, and the other is the resisted fan wiring. And there's also a safety catch on there, so make sure it won't come off. Which these connectors are a bear to get off. I'm not sure. They always have safety catches though, no matter how hard they are to connect and disconnect. Overflow is not bolted in, it just has these little notches that fit into slots in your shroud. It's amazing how little really holds it in. This goes underneath. Catches. Now, I'm not sure if the wiring holds the hose or the hose holds the wiring, but a little catch on there for those. That's all the way down. A little bit of coolant. Hook up the battery and we'll see if this thing's charging right. Alright, alternator's in, battery's fully charged again. Put my voltmeter on it, make sure it's not still discharging or doing anything weird like it was before. We're good there. All we gotta do now is fire it up, make sure it's charging. Alright, fired her up. Let's see what happened. Yay! This one's fixed. I'll let it run a few minutes and put all my tools away. Alright guys, I'm gonna end that video here. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed having you here. Torque that like button for me, will you? And maybe subscribe. If you want to see more auto repair, project truck videos, tool reviews, videos where I combine some of those elements. See you guys in the next video. You're awesome.